Hello, I'm Patrick Roach, and for my autoethnography, I wanted to talk about perfectionism and its impact on people, society, and its ties to religion because I grew up as a Catholic. So, why am I talking about the religious ties beyond just the fact that I grew up as Catholic? Well, a fifth of US adults are Catholic, and almost a fifth of the world is Catholic. And because Catholicism and religions besides Catholicism have such a deep rooted history all over the world, there's a lot of perfectionist ties and systems that are based on that history. So, for example, there's also some research on this. Individuals who identify as Catholic report the highest levels of religious guilt, and Catholics also say, almost a third of Catholic respondents in a response to a survey said that they always struggle with having very intense feelings or obsessions about confession, which is where you go to a priest and have your sins absolved. So there's a lot of religious ties to perfectionism, and I grew up Catholic. But the main point beyond Catholicism is that systems kind of guide people towards perfectionism. And I think the most common example people can really relate to that are watching this is grades. A lot of people can learn to put their self-worth into grades, and that if you don't get an A or a really high grade, then you're a failure, that kind of thing. And I thought, just in general, life kind of really tells you where to get your self-worth from. Maybe it's not grades, but I thought this Instagram post was a really good summary. Maybe you're getting your perfectionist from your job career. Maybe it's in how much money you're making or how productive you are in your day. Perfectionism is really based on what you put your self-worth into and tying your self-worth to external things, but to a very unhealthy level. So I thought this image was kind of a beautiful summary of that. And I think when you start to look at life through the lens of perfectionism, you really see how it kind of permeates a lot of society. So some examples of that are black and white thinking, or how important it might be to maintain a perfect image. So at your job, or maybe when you go out, you need to dress up, spend a really long time making sure your hair's all done, you're in the perfect outfit, because you can't not look perfect. You can't not meet your perfect standard. And also, I think this is really common in workplaces where employees are held to a really high, perfect even standard. And it can create kind of this environment of fear and pressure. Whereas if those companies had just shown, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, then those employees would be more empowered to do their best work and feel more loyal and comfortable at that company. But I wasn't always a perfectionist. I got better at it. I moved past it, and I want to talk about how I did that because this had a really big impact on me because so much of my self-worth was tied to this. And the first thing was I learned to hold myself to a high standard rather than a perfect standard. And I still had really good results, and I was so much happier. And it really showed me that I had this limiting belief and I could still succeed even without holding myself to a perfect standard. And a really big part of that was just learning acceptance and to let go of things, and that it's okay to make mistakes and to not be perfect, which is honestly a really hard thing to learn. And overall, I would say the biggest takeaway was that I was putting all my self-worth into one thing at a time. So the next exam or the next assignment. So if I got a B, my self-worth instantly plummeted because all my self-worth was in that one thing. But when I started to view myself holistically, I learned to value myself holistically. And if I made a mistake in one area or I didn't meet what I wanted to in one area, I had all these other things that I could show, like, hey, you're doing a good job here. So that's my autoethnography on perfectionism and its impact on me and sort of society as a whole, and a bit of ties to religion. Thank you very much.